How much do you have to drink tonight?
Really none. Y'all, all these people over here drunk and shit.
Go over there.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Go over there.
What we're telling you.
Okay.
The digital clock on the dashboard of the Kent police cruiser silently marks the late hour as the city settles into the quiet rhythm of a sleeping college town. On Block Lane, a narrow thoroughfare flanked by brick buildings and parked cars, a blue sedan commits a critical navigational error that instantly transforms a routine patrol into a complex dual investigation. The vehicle, bearing the license plate KGR 9695, turns against the flow of traffic on a clearly marked one-way street near Panini's Bar and Grill. The headlights of the sedan cut through the darkness in the wrong direction, a visual anomaly that serves as a universal distress signal to law enforcement. The patrol officer, positioned strategically to monitor the nightlife district, activates his overhead lights. The red and blue strobes bounce off the storefront windows as the sedan hesitates, turning toward a parking lot entrance before finally coming to a halt. This traffic stop initiates a sequence of events that will expose the stark contrast between a polite, cooperative driver and a belligerent, obstructive passenger. The officer approaches the driver's side window, his flashlight beam cutting through the interior of the vehicle to reveal two young women. The driver, a resident of Akron who identifies herself as a business owner and esthetician, appears immediately apologetic and confused. She explains that she is not from Kent and is unfamiliar with the local traffic patterns. She admits they are coming from a venue called Barfly, a popular spot in the downtown area. Her demeanor is respectful, and she answers the officer's questions with a soft, steady voice. However, the sensory evidence contradicts her composed behavior. A distinct odor of alcoholic beverages drifts from the cabin of the car, heavy and unmistakable. The officer's flashlight sweeps the back seat, illuminating an open container of alcohol tucked behind the driver's seat. This discovery provides immediate context to the wrong-way driving. When asked about her alcohol consumption, the driver employs a common minimization tactic, often seen in a female DUI arrest. She claims to have had essentially nothing to drink, then amends her statement to admit to perhaps one drink consumed a good hour ago. This specific timeline is a frequent fabrication used by impaired drivers who believe that admitting to a single drink hours prior paints them as responsible. The officer remains professional and requests her identification and proof of insurance. The driver fumbles slightly with her documents, a loss of fine motor skills that serves as the first physiological clue of impairment. The investigation shifts to the roadside as the officer asks the driver to step out of the vehicle. He intends to conduct standardized field sobriety tests to determine if she is safe to operate the vehicle. As the driver exits, the passenger remains in the car but begins to insert herself into the situation. She is a resident of Kent, living only 5 to 10 minutes from the scene, yet she lacks the local knowledge to assist her friend with parking or directions. Her agitation is palpable even from inside the car. The officer instructs the driver to leave her phone and purse on the seat, a standard safety procedure to keep the suspect's hands free during testing. This simple instruction becomes the catalyst for the passenger's eventual downfall. The driver stands at the front of the police cruiser, bathed in the white light of the takedown lamps. The officer begins with the horizontal gaze nystagmus test, a medical assessment of the eyes. He holds a stimulus roughly 12 inches from her face and instructs her to follow it with her eyes only. He is looking for nystagmus, an involuntary jerking of the eyeball that occurs when the central nervous system is depressed by alcohol. A sober person's eyes track smoothly, like a marble rolling on glass. An impaired person's eyes jerk and bounce, like a windshield wiper skipping across dry rubber. The driver's eyes display a distinct lack of smooth pursuit. They jerk noticeably at maximum deviation, a sign the officer notes immediately. She sways slightly as she stands, her body fighting to maintain equilibrium against the chemical depressant in her blood. The second phase of the evaluation is the walk and turn test. This is a divided attention test designed to tax the brain's ability to process instructions while performing physical tasks. The officer demonstrates the stance, placing his right foot in front of his left, heel to toe. He instructs the driver to do the same and to remain in that position until told to begin. The driver struggles to maintain this instructional stance, stepping out of line to catch her balance. When told to begin, she must take 9 heel-to-toe steps down an imaginary straight line, turn in a specific manner, and take 9 steps back. The driver misses the heel-to-toe connection on multiple steps, leaving gaps between her feet. She raises her arms for balance, violating the instruction to keep them at her sides. She turns incorrectly, losing the rigid structure the test requires. Each error is a clue, a standardized metric that points toward a blood alcohol concentration above the legal limit. While the driver is failing the physical tests with a polite attitude, the situation inside the blue sedan is deteriorating. The passenger, who had been told to remain inside, becomes increasingly vocal and disruptive. She decides to exit the vehicle, ignoring the officer's explicit command to stay put. This behavior is the hallmark of the drunk best friend phenomenon, where a passenger's misguided attempt to help escalates a civil traffic stop into a criminal confrontation. She approaches the arrest scene, demanding to give the driver her phone and wallet. The officers explain that the driver is under arrest for operating a vehicle impaired and that her property will be secured. The passenger refuses to accept this answer. She clutches the purse tightly, turning a simple item of property into a symbol of her defiance. The Kent, Ohio police officers exhibit considerable patience, warning the passenger multiple times that she is obstructing their investigation. Obstructing official business, defined under Ohio Revised Code Section 2921.31, is a failure to allow public officials to perform their lawful duties. By refusing to stay back and refusing to hand over the purse, the passenger is actively delaying the DUI arrest process. She screams that she is not their daughter, a bizarre non sequitur that highlights her intoxicated state. She argues that she knows her rights, yet she seems unaware that disobeying a lawful order is a criminal act. The officers decide they can no longer tolerate the interference. They move to place her under arrest. The arrest of the passenger provides some of the most dramatic footage from the police body cam. Upon being told she is under arrest, she adopts a tactic known as passive resistance. She refuses to stand or walk, allowing her body to go limp. She becomes dead weight, forcing the officers to physically support her. She accuses them of pushing her, shouting for her best friend to witness the alleged mistreatment. The officers, utilizing a technique they refer to as a medical hold, carry her toward the cruiser. She continues to scream, creating a scene that draws attention from the surrounding area. When they reach the patrol car, she refuses to place her legs inside. She claims her legs are messed up and demands the officers lift them for her. This absurd request forces the officers to physically maneuver her limbs into the back seat, a struggle that is both unnecessary and legally damaging for her case. The contrast between the two detainees is striking. The driver stands quietly by the cruiser, handcuffed and resigned to her fate. She watches her friend fight a losing battle with the police. The driver maintains her politeness, apologizing for her friend's behavior while simultaneously dealing with the reality of her own arrest. She is transported to the Kent, Ohio police station for processing, while her friend is transported in a separate vehicle, still shouting and arguing with the empty air. The night began with a shared drink at Barfly, but it ends with them in separate holding cells, facing vastly different legal charges. At the police station, the investigation into the driver's intoxication moves from the roadside to the laboratory. The officer offers her a breathalyzer test, a scientific method to determine the exact concentration of alcohol in her system. The driver agrees to the test, maintaining her story that she only had one drink. She blows into the machine, her breath passing through the fuel cell sensor. The digital display renders a verdict that shatters her defense. The result is .206. This number is catastrophic. It is nearly 3 times the legal limit of .08. In Ohio, a blood alcohol content of .17 or higher is classified as a high-tier offense. It carries mandatory enhanced penalties, including longer license suspensions and required driver intervention programs. The driver is visibly shocked by the result. She questions how a single drink could produce such a number. The officer explains the physiology of alcohol absorption. A result of .206 indicates the consumption of a significant amount of alcohol, likely in the range of 8 to 10 standard drinks for a woman of her size. The one-drink story is mathematically impossible. The high result explains the wrong-way driving on Block Lane. It explains the nystagmus in her eyes. It explains the loss of balance. She was not merely buzzed. She was severely incapacitated. Her ability to appear somewhat composed during the stop is evidence of a high tolerance, a dangerous trait that allows individuals to walk and talk while their motor skills are critically compromised. Meanwhile, the passenger is processed for obstructing official business and disorderly conduct. Her behavior at the scene was captured in high definition by the Ohio police body cam. providing the prosecution with irrefutable evidence of her interference. Her refusal to release the purse, her refusal to stay in the car, and her physical resistance are all documented acts of obstruction. The video also captures her erratic statements and screaming, supporting the disorderly conduct charge. What could have been a simple ride home in a taxi or a walk to her nearby apartment has turned into a criminal record. She prioritized her emotional reaction over legal compliance, a mistake that will cost her in fines, court fees, and reputation. The DUI arrest of the driver serves as a grim reminder of the dangers of operating a vehicle under the influence. As a business owner in the beauty industry, the driver relies on her reputation and her ability to commute. The immediate suspension of her license creates a logistical nightmare for her career. The mandatory court appearance will force her to publicly address her actions. The high-tier charge means she cannot plead down to a lesser offense easily. The open container found in the car adds another layer of liability, suggesting that the drinking may have continued even after leaving the bar. The wrong-way driving could have easily resulted in a head-on collision, transforming a criminal case into a vehicular homicide investigation. The passenger's narrative is a cautionary tale about the drunk best friend dynamic. Friends often feel a loyalty to intervene when they see their companions interacting with police. However, the roadside is not a venue for debate. An active investigation is a controlled environment, and officers have the authority to secure the scene. By inserting herself into the stop, the passenger distracted the officers and endangered everyone involved. Her actions did not save her friend. They only ensured that both women would spend the night in custody. The viral police video potential of her screaming meltdown is high, adding the threat of social media embarrassment to her legal troubles. The legal process will now take its course. The driver faces a mandatory license suspension of at least 1 year due to the refusal or the high test result. Though in this case, she submitted. Since she submitted and blew a high tier, the suspension is significant. She will likely be required to install an ignition interlock device on her vehicle. She will have to pay a reinstatement fee and undergo an alcohol and drug assessment. The passenger will face a judge who will view the body camera footage. The judge will see a woman who refused to listen to reason, who fought with officers, and who wasted valuable police resources. The defense attorney will struggle to justify her actions against the clear video evidence. This incident also highlights the systemic issue of impaired driving in college towns. The proximity of bars to residential areas creates a false sense of security. The driver was far from home, navigating unfamiliar streets in a state of high intoxication. The officer's intervention on Block Lane was a preventive measure that likely saved lives. The blue sedan was a guided missile moving against the flow of traffic. The breathalyzer test confirmed what the officer's training suspected. The driver was in no condition to make life or death decisions behind the wheel. The public often searches for funny police body cam footage, looking for entertainment in the misfortune of others. While the passenger's demands to have her legs lifted might seem comical in isolation, the reality is tragic. 2 young women with bright futures have compromised their standing in the community. The driver, an entrepreneur, must now explain her arrest to clients and family. The passenger must explain her criminal obstruction charge to future employers. The permanent digital footprint of this night will outlast the legal penalties. The Kent, Ohio police officers demonstrated a high level of professionalism throughout the encounter. They remained calm in the face of the passenger's screaming. They offered her multiple opportunities to walk away. They used the minimum amount of force necessary to effect the arrest. They treated the polite driver with respect, even as they gathered the evidence to convict her. This neutrality is the hallmark of modern policing. It ensures that the focus remains on the law and the facts, rather than on personality conflicts or emotions. The drunk driving arrest is a complex event involving chemistry, biology, psychology, and law. The chemistry of the alcohol dictates the impairment. The biology of the driver determines the tolerance. The psychology of the denial leads to the decision to drive. The law provides the framework for the consequences. In this case, all 4 elements collided on a dark street in Ohio. The driver's claim of 1 drink crumbled under the weight of the .206 result. The passenger's claim of helping crumbled under the weight of the obstruction statute. As the paperwork is filed and the sun rises, the blue sedan sits in the impound lot, a silent witness to the night's events. The open container is logged as evidence. The video files are uploaded to the server. The case number is generated. The story of the esthetician and her friend becomes part of the public record. a data point in the ongoing struggle against impaired driving. It serves as a lesson to anyone who believes they are okay to drive after a night out. The difference between feeling fine and being legally intoxicated can be the difference between a safe ride home and a pair of handcuffs. The final takeaway from this traffic stop gone wrong is the absolute finality of the chemical test. Arguments, excuses, and polite demeanor cannot alter the ratio of alcohol in the bloodstream. The machine does not care about the driver's business or her unfamiliarity with the roads. It measures only the poison in the system. And for the driver of the blue sedan, that measurement was the definitive end to her freedom for the night. The passenger's lesson is equally clear. When the police tell you to stay back, compliance is the only lawful option. Fighting the police on the side of the road is a battle that is lost before it begins. In the courtroom, the defense will likely attempt to mitigate the damages. They may argue that the driver was cooperative and has no prior record. They may argue that the passenger was merely concerned for her friend, but the prosecutor will have the police body cam and the breath ticket. These two pieces of evidence create a wall that is difficult to scale. The visual proof of the failed sobriety tests and the erratic obstruction, combined with the scientific proof of the high-tier intoxication, leaves little room for doubt. The justice system requires accountability, and for these two friends, the price of that accountability will be high. The night at Barfly, intended to be a celebration, became a case study in poor judgment and legal consequence.